Level 1. The Nobody. You wake up in a basement in the back streets of Queens. The walls damp, a single bulb flickering overhead, the sound of traffic outside bleeding in like it belongs to some other world. In front of you sit 3 boxes, packed with counterfeit Louis Vuitton bags, each one shipped from Guangzhou, each one made for a fraction of the real thing's price. The cardboard still carries the salt smell of the sea. The man who brought you into this called you a carrier, and nothing else. Didn't offer you a name, didn't offer you a seat. The rules are simple. Don't ask too many questions, count the money, keep your mouth shut. Walking through the narrow streets of Queens Chinatown, a plastic bag in one hand carrying thousands of dollars worth of fake goods, you carry on your shoulders a secret heavier than anything you've ever held. You try to look ordinary, because looking ordinary is the greatest shield this business has to offer. Head down, 1 foot in front of the other, counting. Everyone in this world starts somewhere at the bottom, like a ghost with no name. So do you, for now. Level 2. The Runner. A week has passed, and you're still alive. That counts as a success here, even if no one tells you so. They gave you a new number, a burner phone. Changes every day. You're not just carrying anymore, you're coordinating. Go to that noodle shop in Flushing, say Red Label, to the owner, and he'll hand you a bag. What's inside? You don't know. You're not supposed to know, because knowing makes you an accomplice, and not knowing just makes you a fool. But you've started to notice, this place is never empty. The same faces come every day. No one actually eats. The servers don't take orders. They just move between tables. Cash always passes under the table, folded into napkins, transferred with a handshake. Money laundering looks this ordinary tucked behind a bowl of wonton soup, in broad daylight, in plain sight. No one looks because no one wants to see. They pay you $500 a week, cash, no questions. You take it, because your father needs $12,000 for heart surgery in 2 months. Insurance won't cover it, the hospital is waiting, and you can't see another way. The deal you make with yourself at night is simple. Just this once, just for my dad. But you've stopped counting how many times you've said it. Level 3. The Spotter. You know the rules now, instinctively. Never speak on the phone, text. Never use your real name. You have a number. Never take the same route twice, because routine makes you visible, and being visible here means being dead. The man who moved you up goes by Fang, but everyone calls him 42. Why? Because in triad hierarchy, the number 426 represents the red pole, the organization's enforcing arm, and Fang is close to that rank, maybe already inside it. Numbers here mean identity, blood, loyalty. 489 is the dragonhead, the summit, the one who is never seen. 49 is the ordinary soldier. You don't yet know which number you are. Maybe you're not a number at all yet. Your job now is to spot locations, boutiques in Soho, the tourist-packed corners of Canal Street, figuring out which vendors are naive, which ones are police informants, which ones are serving another network. You observe, you take notes, not real notes, in your head, because you never leave anything written down. And for the first time, you see how real money flows, how it transforms. A fake Rolex passes through 3 hands, its price rising each time, its story changing with every exchange, until it ends up on a tourist's wrist. Clean money, dirty source, tourist happy, system wins. Level 4. The Distributor. You're at the heart of Manhattan now, and you notice the city looks different to you, not like a tourist anymore, but like a hunter scanning every corner. They gave you a warehouse in the garment district, tucked behind a business that looks entirely innocent. The sign outside reads, Kim's Fabric and Supply, yellowed and deliberately unremarkable. Inside, there are layers. At the top, real bolts of fabric, dusty, placed there to maintain the illusion of a legitimate operation. In the middle, cases of counterfeit accessories, packaged so carefully that a customs officer waves them through without a second glance. At the bottom, behind a locked door, this month's special collection, Hermès, Chanel, Gucci. The stitching is so precise that real leather smuggled from Italy was used to replicate the originals. Same metal hardware, same lining fabric on some pieces. The strange part is that some of the people capable of making these once worked in those very brands' factories, later fired or pushed out after wanting more. Technical knowledge leaked out. Patterns were copied. The system was hollowed from within to some people. This doesn't look like a heist. It looks like a long, slow act of revenge. You organize the distribution. New York, Miami, Chicago, LA. In every city, someone who doesn't know your face knows your number, working without ever meeting, trusting without ever seeing. The chain of trust is fragile, but it holds until it doesn't. Level 5. The enforcer. One night, word comes in. The guy in Miami is skimming small amounts, maybe 2-3 pieces a week, but he's taking. And in this organization, there's no such thing as a small betrayal. Every act of disloyalty grows. Every weakness spreads. They tell you to go talk to him. You know what that means now. The weight in your voice, the heaviness of your stare, the silence behind your words. You fly to Miami. Ticket paid in cash. Passport in another name. Nothing in your bag but 2 days of clothes and an envelope. You meet him at a cafe in Little Havana, loud, crowded, the kind of place where no one hears anything. You look at him. His hands are resting on the table, shaking slightly, fear in his eyes, but something else too, shame. He's young, maybe 25, hair unkempt, collar of his shirt worn thin. He says, "My wife is pregnant. I needed extra money. It happened once, it won't happen again." And for a moment, you go still. You look down at your coffee cup and feel the warmth of it, because you once said something similar. Different words, the same desperation. Your father's surgery. Just this once. But then your boss's voice cuts through inside your head, cold and clean. Weakness is contagious. You give the man one last warning. Low voice, calm face. When you stand to leave, you leave the envelope on the table without saying what's in it. On the flight back, you don't sleep. You only see those trembling hands. In this life, your conscience gets quieter and quieter, but it never goes completely silent. That might be the most dangerous part. Level 6. The operator. You're at the center of the operation now, backstage. Invisible, but the point around which everything revolves. On one side, the counterfeit luxury network, built with precision. On the other, the digital infrastructure that makes it possible, the true backbone of modern crime. They've connected you to a cyber team, 2 from Moscow, 1 from Kyiv, 1 from Shanghai, each in their own city, each working from a screen, none of them knowing the real identity of the others. Mutual ignorance is security here. Their job? Build fake e-commerce sites, create pixel-perfect replicas of real brand websites, open social media accounts, generate bots that look like influencers, write reviews, accumulate likes. A Chanel bag gets promoted through real influencer accounts on Instagram. Link clicked, order placed, delivered to your door in 3 business days. Customer opens the package, smiles, takes a photo, posts it. Customs never sees it coming. Payment routed through crypto and laundered clean. Delivery address different every time. The system runs so smoothly that sometimes even you pause for a moment, almost impressed. Then one day a name reaches you through an unofficial channel, through someone you trust. FBI, Homeland Security, joint operation, 18 months running. Someone talked. A link in the chain broke, and you know exactly who it is. When you picture their face, you're not even surprised. You just feel tired. Level 7. The ghost. Your name no longer exists in any system, digitally erased, absent on paper. The people who knew you are either inside, silent, or underground, and the distance between those 3 categories keeps shrinking. Companies became shell companies, registered in Delaware. No real owner traceable in any document. Money became Bitcoin. Bitcoin became cash. Cash became real estate. An apartment in Brooklyn, a restaurant in Queens, a dry cleaner in New Jersey. All operating, all paying taxes, all looking like businesses with regular customers, all clean on the surface, all dirty underneath. Sometimes you walk into that restaurant, sit down like any other customer, look at the menu, place an order. The servers don't know you. That's exactly what you want. You're not selling fake bags anymore. You're keeping a system alive, something that flows like water, rerouting itself whenever it finds an obstacle. But at night you think about that basement. The smell of damp, the flickering bulb, the 3 boxes. Your father's surgery. The surgery happened. He recovered. Last month he called, his voice carrying that old warmth. Son, I'm proud of you. And you had to smile. After you hung up, you stared at the wall for a long time. Because he will never know the truth. And maybe that is the heaviest price you've paid. Level 8. The architect. At this level, you have no face, no signature, no trace. You don't attend meetings, you don't make calls, you don't sign documents. There are only decisions made in silence, executed with precision, met with no objection. New York, Los Angeles, Houston, Atlanta. 4 separate networks across 4 cities, each unaware of the others, each run by its own crew, each connected to you through a single intermediary. The Triad connections supply the goods from Guangzhou, quality raw materials, authentic brand molds. The Bratva connections manage security, and the Enforcer network, quiet but effective in New York and Chicago. The logistics route through Mexico handles border crossings and final distribution. This is no longer just counterfeit bags. This is an underground economy built on shared interests, where multiple criminal worlds intersect. Approximately $200 billion worth of counterfeit goods changes hands globally each year, and you are a small but critical piece of that. Small is relative at this point, because your network turned $40 million this year, and no one knows your name. Sometimes, you forget it yourself. Which name, which face, which person. Level 9. The fall. The door breaks down at 6 in the morning. Sound, light, shouting, FBI, get down. All at once, the sound of running feet, breaking glass, a neighbor's child crying somewhere. You're already standing, because you always knew this moment was coming. You woke up with this possibility every morning, went to sleep with it every night, or didn't sleep at all. 18 months of joint operations, 114 arrests, simultaneous raids in 22 countries. The news calls it a historic operation. Anchors reporting with barely concealed excitement. Footage of seized bags filling the screen shiny, beautiful, empty. You're sitting in the courtroom when your lawyer leans in, voice flat and professional. Best case, 12 years. 12 years. You think of your father's voice. Son, I'm proud of you. Outside, life goes on. Vendors on Canal Street are still laying out their goods. The noodle shop in Flushing is still open. Cash still passing under the tables. Counterfeit bags are still being sold, still being admired, still being photographed. The system is still running. You're just no longer inside it, and you realize, maybe for the first time, this clearly, you were never really inside it to begin with. You were just a replaceable part, discarded the moment you stopped being useful. Just like the fake bags you once carried, dazzling on the outside, hollow within, a symbol of value that was never real. Game over. But the system goes on. It always goes on.